Okay, so clearly I lied. We are gonna do, well, not lied to the end of the last episode, but I lied at the beginning of the last episode where I was gonna say that was the last one, but we're gonna do this one because I have about 3.5 hours before I have to go to work, so they're usually about 2 hours long. I figured, why not? We'll go for it. I'll kill my voice. It's worth it. Worth it. Okay. We're going into chapter 3, or episode 3, or whatever they want to call it, called Purgatory. Who is this one going to be about? Ooh, can't wait. I'm scared for when it comes to Yuka. Sayaka. Our friendship will last forever. It will never die. I don't know who Sayaka is. My mind was in a daze. The light on the ceilings were spinning, moving in and out of one another, alternating between hazy and distinct and forming spiral patterns in my eyelids. I was being jerked along, and the grounds by my legs like the heavy sack of rocks. I could feel every step he took vibrate across my body. Oh wait, that's not what I wanted to click. Chapter 4! Yes, chapter 4. Woohoo. Fun start. Yeah, I remember this place. I was being jerked along. Yeah, okay. But I couldn't do anything to stop it. I could no longer move on my own accord. I just kept getting dragged, inch by inch, across that filthy floor. Then eventually he stopped and threw me down, and I rolled hard onto my face. I was helpless before him. Please. A piece of chocolate had fallen out of my pocket. I was pretty sure it did, anyway. And I wasn't about to let anyone else have it. Give it back, you bastard. The large man took my crumpled form and roughly flipped me back over by the legs, as if I were nothing more than a doll to him. I was facing him from the middle of the hallway as he readied his enormous hammer and looked right into my eyes. Was this it? Was I going to be killed now? Please, God, no. I was terrified, but not entirely. After all, she's coming to save me. Naho's coming. I know she is. She'll always come. She's my friend. That's what it's gonna sound like when you get your head bashed in. No, Sayaka, I think, is a girl. There she is. That's Sayaka. Neha and Sayaka. My name is Sayaka Aoi. I'm a junior of Paonia Academy High School. I'm just a normal girl, but my job conflicts with my studies, so I don't go to school all that often. And this was the first day I'd be free in a while, so I called out my friend Naho and we spent the whole day together having a blast. The last event on our schedule was a Twinkle Girls concert. They play every so often at the local venue called Club Beta. And they're also incredibly cute. I try to catch them whenever I can. Recently, Twinkle had been performing on evening request shows, and they've been getting more and more attention, as well as they should, you know. I joined them on the program a few times myself, and the group and I like to keep in touch through texts and tweets. Not the guy you're thinking about, not even a guy. It's a lady. My eyes met with Naho's, and we both put our hands in the air like we just didn't care. Woo. So cute! Thanks, Sayaka. Twinkle's the best. I think I'm in love. Right? Aren't they awesome? I mean, the moves in that last song. Oh, I remember. Check it. Check this out. Whoa, you've got it down, girl, though I think your hip movements are a teensy bit off. Outside Club Beta after the show, fans are hanging around the street corner, immersed in the lingering rhythm of the music. I wanted to ride that wave myself, but didn't like the idea of blocking the road in the process, so Naho and I just pranced our way back to the station. Hey, check it out, I bought a towel. Naho began waving around a towel she'd bought at the merchandise booth after the show. She looked like a matador taunting a pop idol. The new #1 fan, that's excellent. I'll have to buy one next time myself. Oh, it's still only 9. Hey, Sayaka, let's say we buy Gust's on the way back. Come on, let's go get ourselves some sweets to eat. I'm not used to her being alive. I'm used to her being a ghost and demented. My mind doesn't like this. Sounds pretty sweet to me. Lead on. Give me a strawberry milk flan special, please. Whatever it was now I ordered, it sounded completely alien to me. The heck is that? It sounds super sugary. Something that'll put me in the 7th heaven. That's right. That's what. It's covered in milk and ridiculously delicious. This is Naho Sanoki. We're in the same school, same year, same class. Our backgrounds are sort of familiar, and, well, we all talk all the time and eat together and stuff. But most of all, just look how cute she is. When we're together, she even makes a gal like me wobble. I love this little lady. Point is, it's good, and you're welcome to try some if you'd like. Why, thank you. And as for me, I believe I'll go with the butterful pancakes. Coming right up. They do say girls shouldn't ingest a lot of calories after 9 at night, but hell, we hadn't eaten anything all day, so I figured why not indulge a little. La 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 la. Now I was gazing longingly at her towel while singing the melody to one of the Twinkle songs. It sounded just like she was eating it, like... Good towel, good. She's usually a really cool and collected person, so I bet our classmate would flip out if they saw her like this. It was only when the two of us were alone together that she let loose with her feline-like personality of hers, and it always made me feel really special. You sure seemed like you had a great time. I'm glad you could join me. Now Cecily raised her head up and looked into my eyes, and wow, what a gaze that girl had. I felt like I could lose myself in those perfect peepers. Huh? Something wrong? I'm worried about you, Sayaka. You haven't been getting enough rest lately, have you? Yeah, I like to sing to my prey before I devour them too. I completely hid in my fatigue, but now Summer saw right through me. I could never keep anything from her. Yeah, I haven't really had weekends these last 2 months. Voice acting, soap operas, online radio. Yeah, I can definitely see the problem. I'll bet you're the one to talk, though. Radio, ghost hunts, and oh yeah, aren't you supposed to be in a movie too? Totally jelly, by the way. I'm just an extra. I'll be sitting behind Takumu Saito, eating French food. Hooray for me. I didn't announce that yet, though. Where'd you hear about it? Oh, Mr. Taguchi's blog, of course. He wrote a ton about it, all in the bold face. And he told everyone to cheer you on as loud as they could. Oy vey. Her expression twisted into an exaggerated blob pose, and she sprawled out across the table. Pipura. You can't say anything around that guy. For a while I gazed at Naho, who had placed her chin on the table and puffed out her cheeks. Not sure how to break the silence, I tried switching all subjects. Oh hey Naho, for my next radio show I'm doing a special on scary stories. The deflated Naho suddenly reinflated. Guess I'd piqued her interest. You've got a great voice, and I'd love to have you as a guest speaker. You can be my expert, commenting on ghost stories submitted by listeners. Her head still glued to the table, Naho fell deep into thought. She seemed oddly concerned. I couldn't miss the momentary twinkle in her eye, though. Success. I just needed to rebait the line, and she was as good as caught. Come on, please, for me. That's what that clap was, I'm guessing. There is no. The listeners know we're friends, and I get a lot of messages asking me why you haven't been on the show yet. You'd be a big hit for sure. But more than anything, I really just want to see what it's like to co-host a show with my bestest buddy, Naho. Oh, she mewed. She was showing interest. It wouldn't take much. This is not the Naho I know. It wouldn't take much longer to get her to pounce on this old yarn now. Aren't you cute? I used to be able to meow when I had tonsils. Yep, almost. There. Good enough. That one counts. Come on, come on. This was a thing that just sort of happened between us sometimes. She turned into a cat and I played the part of her master. There's some fancy cat food in it for you if you say yes. What's that supposed to mean exactly? I'll treat you at Cafe Quill Fate Non. No? No? No. No? Cafe Quill No? Whatever. Sound good? Ooh! Now his fate lit up. Okay, I'll do it. Yay! Thank you, thank you! I love you, Naho! Doesn't help that I have post-nasal drip right now. No? Well, I'm wondering if it's French, because if it's French, then it's no. And it looks pretty French. Oui? No. Why are you hissing at me? I did it. I'd gotten the great green light. My swell couldn't have been bigger at that moment. Now his popularity had exploded recently, so she'd have been having a hard time managing all the requests she'd been getting to appear on other radio shows. I'd been hoping to get a chance to tie our work together at some point. There's no Q in we. I've been hoping to get a chance to tie our work together at some point, but I never imagined it'd be this easy. So with that out of the way, we sat back and enjoyed the hell out of our butterfull pancakes and strawberry milk flan special. No, there's no Q in we. Yeah, so we, I'm pretty sure, is O-U-I. And before we knew it, it was past 10. Naho and I stood and started down the road home, giggling and chatting the whole way. So Naho, when are you going to school? Look, I only took a little bit of French lessons. I have to really got to start again. So Naho, when are you going to school again? Well, only tomorrow. I've been ditching class a lot for work, but they said I should at least show up to hand in my report. Oh, okay. You're going to have to turn it in too, you know. You'll be asking for it next time you're there. Really? Well, whatever. It's just a report. It'll work itself out if I stay up all night. Huh. Oh, hey. You want to stop in and grab Kibiki's new book? You've been dying to read it, right? And his place is on your way, so... Oh, yes, please. Right, this way, then, madame. Nao's house was literally on the way home for me. Or rather, Mr. Kibiki's house, since that's where she'd been staying for the last little while. Due to various circumstances, Naho had been commuting to school from here rather than living with her parents. Supposedly, she'd moved in to study under Mr. Kibiki like his Padawan. She was always willing to go that extra mile and always admired that about her. Miss Kibiki, I'm home! Welcome back. Not too cold out, I trust? Hello, you must be... I was nervous as he looked me over, but he had very kind eyes. And man was he ever hot. Like old school Japanese style hot. Good evening. It's a pleasure to meet you. My name is Sayaka Oi. I bowed quickly and Mr. Kibiki flashed a gentle smile. Kibiki, thanks for always looking after Naho. She talks about you quite a lot. I'm so glad. I also heard a lot about you, Mr. Kibiki. A laundry list of failed publications, no doubt. Oh no, that's not true at all. They're not family. Those two are not related. Hey, Sayaka, since you're here, why don't you stay for tea or something? Kibiki bought some really amazing second flush Darjeeling. Well, I kind of felt like I was being put on the spot. I mean, it was already late, and I doubt Mr. Kibiki was too keen on playing host. You don't mind, do you, Kibiki? Of course not, though you'd best give your family a call and let them know where you are. You wouldn't want to worry them, after all. Thank you very much. I hope it isn't too much trouble. Please make yourself at home. Dude's got a killer smile. It was easy to see why Naho got so into him. Alright then, come on in. Okay. No. He is her mentor. And she's got a big thing for him, but I'm pretty sure he's a little too old for her. Given he's an adult and has a house. And she's a high school student. But hey, it's Japanese stuff. I don't know. They're weird and they're stuck up. My nose itches. Okay. In front of Kibiki, Naho returned to her usual cool self. After calling home, I passed nervously through the living room, feeling a bit like I was imposing. But what a living room it was. I think my hair is just like really... What a living room it was. The furnishings were a fusion of Japanese and Vietnamese styles, and everything just looked really posh and inviting. This place is incredible. Go ahead and leave your bag over there, and please get comfortable. I'll put on the Darjeeling. Oh, thank you very much. Thanks, Kibiki. It's no problem at all. I was looking to drink some myself, in fact. Kibiki then disappeared into another room, his smile never once fading. A total dreamboat all the way. Now it gestured for me to sit, so I cautiously plopped myself down on the expensive-looking sofa. Whoa, I'm sinking. Sayaka, just relax, okay? I'm going to go hit the little girl's room. Okay, I'll be napping here when you get back, baby. She's the bucket. Go for it. Now I began walking out of the room, chuckling at my swiftly sinking form. Mere moments later, though. That sure caught me by surprise. I turned in the direction of the scream concerned. God, Taguchi! Lock the damn door when you're in there! Sorry, Naho. Heard the door slam shut with incredible force, so that was the infamous Mr. Taguchi, huh? No love lost between those two, it seemed. The nerve of that guy! Having peeked, well, she was technically absorbed by the darkness. Having peeked out to having checked to peek out having peeked out to check on Naho, Mr. Kabiki again withdrew his wide-eyed face to the kitchen, laughing softly. I swear I could look at him all day. Trying to savor I've lost myself now. Trying to savor each single droplet of the deep crimson liquid in my cup, I slowly and carefully imbibed the tea that was placed before me. Whatever blend Kibiki had brewed bore a flavor unlike anything I'd ever tasted. Ah, it's wonderful. Excellent, I'm glad you like it. It got such a... I have this thing that keeps popping up on my screen. It's got such a complex taste and aroma. I always thought all black tea was the same, but then at my house we only have the kind that comes in tea bags. There's nothing wrong with tea that comes in bags. It's gotten quite good these days. In fact, this is just the way I'm used to drinking it. It really is delicious, Mr. Kibiki. Isn't it about time you two go home, Taguchi? Oh, isn't it about time for you to go home, Taguchi? Oh, come on now, don't be like that. Taguchi may have been her elder, but he was completely outmatched by Naho. Those two had a pretty fascinating relationship all their own. Actually, you know, I do have a rental video to return by the end of the day, so I guess I should probably be leaving after all. More porn? What? No, and what do you mean by more? Anyway, if you'll excuse me. Techno break, death by fap. Now face Mr. Taguchi and pose as if she were shooting a beam of light at him, like some kind of legally unnameable masked superhero. Yeah, I'll see you tomorrow, Mr. Kibiki. You too, Naho. Actually, I'm going to school tomorrow, so no, you won't. Oh, really? That's surprising. You just keep on keeping on, Taguchi. Rock those 29 years of insubstantial accomplishments. Man, you're ruthless. Taguchi staggered to the door and vanished into the outside world, utterly defeated. Watching from next to me, Kibiki simply waved his hand and smiled. I should probably be going too. Thank you very much for your hospitality. My pleasure. I'm sorry we couldn't offer you anything more. Oh, please. Well, if Taguchi's gone, he's got a pretty good head start, so I don't think you have to worry about running into him. Wow, you are ruthless. You're welcome back anytime. Please be careful on your way home. Thank you so very much for everything. Have a good night. I stepped out from Kibi's lovely home, and Naho walked me to the corner. The air felt crisp and cool against my cheeks. It had been a positively lovely day all around. Before parting ways, I let Naho one of my Twinkle CDs I had in my bag. Then we hugged, and I began the short walk back to my own house. Thank you, Naho. This case you discovered with Heavenly Host Elementary, it's absolutely remarkable. If our investigation bears fruit, this could very well turn the world of occult research on its head. It's too good to pass up. Okay. I just found a flaw in the game logic. In the original game, it says anybody who dies there is forgotten in the living world. Yet, when they were in there, Ayumi clearly knows who Naho and Kibiki are, even though both are dead. Which means they should have been erased from the memory of everybody in the living world, but they weren't. Problem. Daddy's not breathing. Just a dream. I have to write this down. Sacred Ground Investigation File 02K Prefecture. Heavenly Host Elementary currently under investigation. Further progress. Encounters fierce spiritual resistance while simply researching the Shinozaki state. Right side of body paralyzed. Left eardrum ringing. Or visible in photographs. Influence confirmed. Several dizziness, nausea, bloody, BM experienced. Symptoms versus... Oh, I remember this one from the game. And unrelenting nightmares on top of all that. This really is way too dangerous for them. Kibiki and Taguchi don't know how to protect themselves from spirits. They shouldn't go at all. My name is Naho Senoki. I travel the country investigating reports of haunted locations, assuaging clients' fears, and doing whatever I can to help them. Recently, strange and unpleasant things have begun happening to me. I'd been investigating a certain haunted ground for the last month and encountered a malevolent will more powerful than anything I'd ever experienced. I attributed this to the paper doll I brought back with me, of the sort commonly used in curses. No doubt a bad idea, but invaluable for research. This is the reason I hesitated when Sayaka asked me to be on her radio show at the restaurant earlier. Ghost stories can actually provoke the spirits involved in them. I was afraid that whatever entity had latched onto me might have some negative effects on Sayaka as well. Fortunately, aside from wreaking havoc on my physiology, the spirit didn't seem to be affecting those around me in any way. If I could just keep it under control, I was certain my appearance on Sayaka's radio show would go off without a hitch. Kibiki? I got into the kitchen for a glass of water, and though I hadn't noticed on my way down, I saw Kibiki fast asleep on the living room sofa as I headed back. Kibiki, you're going to catch cold down here, you know. Kibiki? Sound asleep. Oh, Kibiki, you're so cute. Kibiki had pulled an all-nighter last night, so I was pretty sure he'd sleep well into the afternoon. There we go, a nice warm blanket for you. Sweet dreams. Spirit research is a decidedly dangerous field. Numerous people have warned me not to get in too deep. So why did I do it? For Kibiki, of course. If Kibiki could make progress on his occult novel through my research, if he could succeed in all his endeavors, then no price would be too high. I felt, for his respect and admiration, I'd happily sacrifice anything and anyone. Don't put your dick in crazy, Kibiki. And you know, don't be a pedophile. I'm just saying, for the future, just warnings. Yeah, it definitely is too dangerous to send Kibiki and Taguchi to Heavenly Host by themselves. I'll have to make sure I go with them. I took Kibiki in and returned to my room. Realizing he'd still be asleep when I left for school, I decided to write him a note. Just as I was concerned for him, Kibiki was worried about putting me in danger as well, starting his prior intent to go to Heavenly Host with Taguchi instead. Okay, I have like a little eyelash. It's not wanting to... There we go. Got it. Didn't want to release. Okay. I was so flattered by his consideration that I just didn't have the heart to lecture him about how ludicrously bad of an idea that was. Let's see. To my dear mentor. The time is now 11 in the morning. Here's the latest news of the day. The body of the schoolgirl was discovered in the plaza near the escalators at the southeast exit to the Tokyo Shinjuku station. Good morning, Naho. I want to talk to you about that Tenjin urban legend you found. I really think it may be a bit too dangerous to bring you along, so Taguchi and I should probably go by ourselves. Huh? She's not here. Come to think of it, she did say she'd be going to school today, which is rather unlike her. As usual, everything is in perfect order in this room, like night and day compared to my study. What's this? A note? What's this? A note? To my dear mentor, for you, I'll go to any lengths. Based on my findings from old Tenjin Town records, I feel more confident that it is possible to return from the school using the escape plan we discussed. But you and Taguchi don't have the ability to resist spirits like I do. It'd be far too dangerous in there for just the two of you. So when I get home from school today, I'll be joining you in performing the charm of the Sachiko Shinozaki. I don't hold out much hope for our success, but if it works, you're seriously going to get the scoop to end all scoops. If I can help make lightning strike a third time for you with your editorial department, then you totally owe me dinner. Thank you, Nao, but I really can't allow you to put yourself in danger like that. I know the escape plan. I'm going to go with the trusty old Taguchi, and you're going to wait for us here. I guess I should write her a note to that effect. Good morning, Mr. Kibiki. Are you awake? Well, he's full of spirit today. Perfect, then. Let's not waste any more time. I went to school as soon as I finished my morning recording sessions. By then it was already lunchtime and now I had skipped class as usual. But I knew where to find her. Work may have kept her out of school most of the time. But when she did come, there was one spot she always chose for lunch. She liked to get away from the noisy classroom and eat in peace, and I knew this because, well, I did too. This wasn't just her spot, but mine as well. We'd probably get in trouble if a teacher ever found us here, though. See, the lock of the door leading to the school roof just happened to be broken, so... what a nice breeze. And that sunlight, too. Absolutely magical. There was a fence between the buildings to prevent students from falling, but it wasn't very high, so getting over it was a fairly simple task. Sensor! We don't need these shots, people. Alley-oop. Across the gap, mindful of my stray guts. Across the gap, mindful of any stray gusts of wind. The best shade was on that side, so as long as I didn't look down, it was well worth the effort. And there she is. Oh no! Put your panties away. And by that I mean cover them. As expected, she was nestled right into her usual spot. The sight was positively picturesque. I don't feel like they're talking about what she's saying. A high school girl all tucked away at the school roof, nose buried in book with a nondescript paper dust jacket. I swear you could just paint any moment like of this girl's life and it would be a fine portrait. Sayaka! Pwa. Sayaka! Hey there, sorry to have kept you out so late last night. Hope your family wasn't mad at you or anything. Okay, no more panty shots, thank you. Nope, no problems at all. They were A-okay with it. Oh, seems you trained them well. What are you implying? So hey, that book from Mr. Kabiki you lent me yesterday, freaking awesome. Right? Didn't it just totally suck you in? I love how it goes on and on with the psychological descriptions of the first murder scene. That protagonist is totally nutso. Yeah, I wish I hadn't been reading it in bits and pieces during my work commute, though. Kinda took me away from the tension, but I can't wait to read more. Yeah, just keep at it, it's gonna blow your mind. Oh yeah, and that Twinkle CD you lent me? To die for, seriously. Really? Awesome. I'll bet you recognized a bunch of those songs from the concert, right? You should check out some of their music videos sometimes, too. Hello, Iris, I'm gonna pet you with my foot right now. Maybe I've got one on my phone that I can show you now. Nope, guess not. I'll have to give you a rain check on that. I wonder if there are any good fan-made ones. Oh, good call if there are. I totally want to see. The bell. One already. Well, I've got an appointment I can't miss, I'm afraid. Guess I'll see you after school for recording. It's at 5:30 at East Shinjuku, so we should probably meet at 4 behind the school gate. Okay. You said behind the gate. Really? What are you, 5? That was a cool cucumber. Just like always, today recording was sure to be a blast. This one's persistent, I'll give her that. Blood. Really? Is this curse honestly affecting me all the way down to the cellular level? Seriously, how long are you planning on haunting me? Good evening, everyone. Welcome to tonight's installment of Sayaka Doe's Love Braver. Always, not Doe's, I don't know why. I'm changing her name now. The night don't start till I pour out my heart. So let's get pouring, shall we? You'll never guess where I went today. I went to school to meet up with a friend, actually. It was the first time in a while I could just kick back and relax. We talked forever, like forever. But, of course, the real reason I was to learn stuff and junk. Of course. Tee-hee. Tee-hee, ha-ha-ha. They're laughing at me in the control booth. What's going on there, fellas, huh? The thought of Miss Oe actually going to school is hilarious. Hey, come on. I go to school, I do. I'm a high school student just like everybody else my age. Don't laugh. You trying to say I'm too old? Too cool for school? Seriously, stop it. You're gonna give me a complex. Some days you just can't win, you know. All I want to do was to say how great school is, and look what happened. I'm a laughingstock. Well, I'm glad you guys are having fun, at least. Let's enjoy our half hour together tonight to the fullest. Braver. Sayaka's on-air personality was incredible. I was absolutely listening to a pro at work, and she had me hooked from the moment that would not be me. That was the worst hosting we've ever heard. After the moment the show began. Okay, that wraps up the intro, Miss Sayanoki. Please head into the booth. On my way. It was my turn now as a guest speaker. When I entered the recording booth, Sayaka sat facing her mic and waved me over. Hey, a girlfriend! I returned Sayaka's cheery smile and sat myself in front of the guest mic that had been prepared for me, but something felt wrong. Very, very wrong. Oh. What's the matter? Oh, it's nothing. I just felt dizzy for a second. Oh, it's Sachiko. Well, the camera's on you now, so wear your cutest face, okay? Roger that. This child was the daughter mentioned in my research of the Shinozaki family. This was Sachiko. She was the one who'd attached herself to me. Her eyes were black and hollow with no discernible pupils at all. She sat utterly motionless, but I knew she was watching me, waiting, biding her time. My hair stood on end, blood rushed to my head, and bile surged into my throat. This Shinozaki curse was far too powerful, I couldn't suppress it. And it was clear Sayaka couldn't see her. This was bad. I had to be careful not to let Sachiko interfere with the recording. Oh, okay, so she was possessed when she was willing to sacrifice a bunch of people. Okay, we're back. Start with the listener mail. Alright, folks, it's the moment you've all been waiting for. The topic of this week's Try to Do a Thing workshop is... Oof, can I go home now, please? What do you mean? No, come on, be a sport. Guess there's nothing I can do about it. This week's topic is, that's right, try to tell a scary story. Yikes. Man, I told you all I didn't want to do this one. So why did you guys send in so many responses? We actually received a record amount. Far too many to tackle myself, so I've invited a guest to help me out. Hey, don't run the applause yet. I haven't even said who it is. Or has everyone already guessed? Really, it's totally who you think it is. The pro with the know-how, spirit investigator extraordinaire, as beautiful as she is brainy, it's high school paranormalist Naho Senoki. Get up for Naho! Good evening. Thank you so much for coming. No, thank you. It's an honor to have been invited. Oh, how about that? Everyone's so mellow, so modest. Isn't she just the bee's knees? Now and I go to the same school. We're even in the same class. Excuse me. The phlegm cough is gone, but I got this dry cough that still hits sometimes. I'm in the same class, isn't that right? We hang out a lot, in fact. Some of you clearly knew that, and have been outright demanding that Naho make a guest appearance for quite some time now. Well, your wish is my command, my pleasure, in fact. I think I may even be more thrilled to have her here than you guys. Anyway, give today's themes. Now seemed the perfect guest, so care to get us started with some choice words for an evil spirit that may be listening? Tremble on the border between this life and the next, under my 7 stars. That's what I'm talking about. Those ghosties have got to be shivering in their ethereal booties after hearing something like that. Yeah, that's what they are. So, let's get right to the listeners' letters, shall we? Here's a scary story from one Junpei Nagi of M City in Tokyo. In my experience, adverse spiritual manifestations from my research have always been easy enough to keep at bay with my powers, but this one was different. For this energy to be completely visible in broad daylight, I'd never seen anything like it. Ugh. This was bad. My head was splitting, but the cameras were rolling, so I had to speak. So I had to at least keep myself from coughing up blood again. Naho was grabbing her skirt tightly with both hands, muscles completely rigid. My, she was actually getting nervous? How unlike her. I kind of grinned internally a bit at the sight of Naho acting all girly and scared. It was adorable. Dorababble, as I like to say, but I still had a show to host. Thunk. I slid open the door, and there before me I saw a pair of eyes staring intently right into my very soul. Wow, that is super freaky. How about it, Naho? This one had got to be fake, right? Mr. Mizuno of Kyoto is just pulling our leg, right? He may be, but with only this evidence to go on, it's hard to judge the authenticity of the claim. So what you're saying is, it might actually be real? Yeah. It is a possibility, yes. Oh no, please. Actually, I've noticed something even more frightening since the segment began. Naho, your focus keeps drifting over to the corner of the booth. Well. Don't tell me there's somebody there, is there? Oh, I'm getting chills. Do we have another guest with us today? Oh, an uninvited one? Please say no. No, we're fine. It seemed a perfect twist to up the tension of the segment, but the look on Naho's face suggested I may have been onto something, which was terrifying. Her guest spot on this show may have just been fun and games, but I knew Naho was about as well versed in spiritual matters as they come. This gave her a great deal of confidence, but unbeknownst to me, that confidence was beginning to unravel all around her. She was in way over her head, and by the time she would come to realize this, it would be too late, and not just for her. Great work, everyone. That's a wrap. The recording ended without incident as far as anybody knew. Sayaka tossed a piece of chocolate into her mouth. That seemed to have brought blah 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 blah. I can't speak today. Sayaka tossed a piece of chocolate into her mouth that she seemed to have brought with her. She was as casual and relaxed as ever. I know, I am that person too. When people say Tokyo, I'm like, it's Tokyo. There's no I in there. Tokyo. Alright. So out with it. Did you see something in the booth or not? No, I didn't see anything. I glanced back in the recording booth. Sachiko's spirit had disappeared a little while ago. I thought it was best to act as if nothing had happened, and successfully managed to steer the topic of conversation elsewhere until... What the... What's wrong? Was someone talking out there during the recording? No way would any of us make a rookie mistake like that. You wouldn't be able to hear us from inside the booth anyway. There's something on the tape that, though, sounds like a voice to me. Huh? Where? Here, during this exchange. Mr. Mizuno of Kyoto is just pulling our leg, right? He may be, but with this evidence to go on, I'm only hearing those two. You don't hear a third voice? Mr. Mizuno Kyoto is pulling our leg, right? He may be, but with only evidence to go on to. Right there after Miss Sayonozaki says he may be. Mr. Mizuno of Kyoto is just pulling our leg, right? He may be, but with only this evidence to go on. Pulling our leg, right? To go on. Oh god. There is a voice. It's saying, I'm watching you, right? He may be, but with only... Whoa. Yeah. You're going to be... You've got to be kidding me. It's in the recording, for sure. That's so creepy. Is this for real? An actual EVP? Hey, what's going on? Hey, what's the matter? Pull yourself together. Suddenly the director began to clutch at his throat and thrash around. His face was bright red and his mouth frothed over as he struggled to breathe. Hold him down. He's gonna knock everything over and hurt himself. Yes, sir. Is it over? What was that? Some kind of seizure? Ah, crap. He's not breathing. What? God. Call an ambulance quickly. He needs CPR. Well, she didn't do horror stories. Only Naho does. Okay. Come on. Keep it together, man. What the hell's going on? Send the guests home. We're done. Excuse me. Sayaka's usual smiling countenance had been replaced by a thin mouth and a cold sweat. There was no doubt about it. This was the influence of that spirit. And it must have been absolutely terrifying for her co-workers, who never had contact with the spirit world before. I regretted appearing on the program. Sorry, I guess I shouldn't have come. Oh, don't be silly, you did great. We managed to resuscitate the director, too, at the hospital. And we can cut out the voice of the broadcast, but honestly, I say we leave it. I mean, it was a kind of lucky break when you think about it. I'm really grateful for your help today. I know you won, so there's nothing I can... So if there's anything I can do for you, just let me know. Oh, and as for no. How's next week sound? On the way home, now I finally smiled. Glad to see she still had it in her. I needed to put on a happy face, too. I was afraid if I seemed too gloomy, it would bring Naho down, and she hadn't done anything wrong. I had to let her know how grateful I was, and try to bring her spirits back up. The two of us parted ways on a corner near our houses, and as I needed to stop at the convenience store for some groceries, I really wish I didn't have struggle. See you later. Thanks again. You too. Good night. It's funny because there's some games I can read much better, and it's just because of how the font is on the background. And the moment they mix it up, my astigmatism and my dyslexia go, fuck it. I never before felt such strong, persistent spiritual presence. I had a considerable amount of power within me. And usually, it was more than enough to disperse any malicious wills that dared draw near. But even with all my concentration, I'd still put Sayaka and her co-workers in grave danger. They easily could have been killed by the curse. For the sake of dear Kibiki's safety, we really should have put the kibosh on our entire investigation into this. Okay. For the sake of our dear Kibiki's safety, we really should have put the kibosh on our entire investigation into the Shinozaki family line a lot sooner. But it wasn't too late to call it off. As far as I knew, I was going to pull out from the Heavenly Host Elementary altogether. I'd made up my mind. I should probably undergo a traditional spirit exorcism as soon as possible. Kaboosh. It was 9:30, so it had been dark out for hours already, yet there wasn't a single light on in Kibiki's house. Kibiki? No signs of life. Somehow the whole house felt larger and emptier than ever before. Kibiki? Kibiki, are you sleeping? I peeked into his study, but he wasn't there, nor was he anywhere else. The house was deserted. Now, Kibiki's meetings for work were always held in irregular time, so this wasn't unprecedented or anything. But the atmosphere inside just felt different somehow. There was this particular silence, as if no one had ever lived here in the first place. Something just seemed very, very wrong. It was like someone was watching me, sneering at me. Finally I found a note on my desk, not the one I'd left for Kibiki this morning, but a response written in his familiar scrawl. Dear Naho, thank you for your concern. I couldn't live with myself if I exposed you to any more danger on my behalf, however. Taguchi and I have gone to Heavenly Host Elementary. We've noted the way back, so please don't worry. We'll return safe and sound. And if we're successful, let's all go out for a nice meal together, okay? No! Mm-hmm. With a sigh and a mumble, I snapped back to reality, glancing at the clock. I marveled at the fact that it was already past 10. I'd been in a daze for half an hour since getting home. Craziness. Oh, what a day. My shoulders feel like they've got lead weights on them. I couldn't have brought it back with me, right? No, there's no way. I stood up from my desk. The problem was the uniform. I couldn't really relax in it. I should know better. I just needed to change. Yeah, that sounds good. I'll feel better once I get out of this uniform. God, please. Is somebody there? Please, no. I was glad no one had seen me talking to thin air like that. There was nobody else around, of course. Nothing to be afraid of. It was just my imagination. I really needed to get out of my uniform, so once again I started changing one. Definitely not my imagination this time. There was somebody screaming outside my window, running toward my house. What? I seriously felt like I was going to break down. Maybe I already had. Opening the curtain slowly, I peered outside to see who it was. Wait, is that Naho? I couldn't see her face clearly, being on the second floor and all, but that was Naho, right? She was crying like a mad woman. She looked awful. Sayaka! What's wrong, Neha? Neho? Sayaka, it's Kibiki. Kibiki crossed over. Okay, just calm down, Neho. Tell me what happened. Where's Kibiki? I don't know what to do. It's all my fault if Kibiki were to die in there. This was the first time I'd ever seen her so incoherent. I spoke slowly and gently, trying my best to calm her. Neho, please. Just tell me what happened. Let me help you. Start at the beginning. I want you to come back with me right now. What? Please, I'm begging you. Tears were streaming down her face. This was a side of Naha I'd never imagined could exist. There had to be a reason she was so desperate. I agreed to follow her back to Wiki's house, if only out of concern for her well-being. Sachiko ever after. Those who have performed this ritual can cross over to Heavenly Host Elementary, a cursed school sealed outside our world, outside time and space. It's a locus of powerful energy, and the effect it had on me thus far has been disturbing enough that I have decided to abandon my investigation. Before I could convey that to Kibiki, he crossed over without me, taking only Taguchi for backup. So please, Sayaka, you're my only hope at this point. Will you come with me to Heavenly Host so I can rescue Kibiki? I didn't really get any of what she was saying. Heavenly Host Elementary, a cursed school? And this was all to rescue Kibiki. What was in there exactly that he needed rescuing from? The only thing I did understand was that I'd be accompanying Naho to some unsafe, unfamiliar spirit world. I couldn't just casually agree to go with her. So this place I'd be going with you is dangerous that I scare easily, you know. Please, I can't perform the ritual by myself. You're the only person I can count on. And I swear I'll protect you no matter what. Her face was the most disheveled I'd ever seen it. She was particularly begging. I knew two sides to this girl, her cool and collected professional persona, and her cat to master, but this panicked desperation fits neither of them. The words I'd spoken to her following her recording session suddenly popped in my head. I owe you one, so if there's anything I can do for you, just let me know. Hibiki. I took one more look at Nao's tear-strained face, and just knew I couldn't turn away from her in this time of need. Now, do you really promise to protect me? Uh-huh. A ray of hope lit Nao's face like a favorite flower in bloom, and I knew I'd made the right decision. Alright then, I'm in. What are friends for, after all? Sayaka, thank you, Sayaka. I just couldn't bear to see her cry like that. A face as cute as hers deserved to wear a smile at all times. But it says they found all this in her blogs online of how to do the curse. So who wrote those? Was it her possessed by Sachiko? At some point in the living world? Or did she do it ahead of time to help Kibiki? Because I still think she's nuts, and I still think she's not a good person, because one, she's... with as dangerous as it is, she's gonna put her best friend in danger. Because she thinks too highly of herself. We'll be out for a while, though, right? Do you mind if I run home first and take care of some things before we go? Okay, I'll be waiting for you here. But naked. Not a good idea. You'll catch your death of cold. Anyway, I'll be right back. As long as Kibiki's over there. The larger the sample size for... oh, dear. Here it is. The larger the sample size for his research, the better. This is for you, man. The Shinozaki estate? We don't need that place anymore. If he's going to leave me here to spread the curse for him, then fine. That's just what I'll do. No hesitation, no backing down. My blog should be due nicely. Let's see. In this world, there's nothing worse than parting ways with a dear friend. Some say it's sweet sorrow. Oh, almost forgot the subject line. Sachiko in the ever after. Wait, no. How about Sachiko ever after? Perfect. Here's hoping for lots of hits. But she's still a horrible person. Mom, I'm heading out. Not wanting to worry her, I told a little white lie, suggesting that I had another recording session tonight. I'd been going to late sessions practically every night for a while, so it seemed the perfect excuse, and sure enough, she bought it. You certainly are a hard worker, Sayaka. Just make sure you keep your energy up out there. Don't get so busy that you let your blood sugars drop. Here. Candy. There's my answer. She handed me a small piece of emergency chocolate. This was like a tradition of hers. She'd always give me them when I left to show her support. And it always reminded me that I was loved. This one in particular was bringing tears to my eyes. I must have been more scared than I thought. I'll be home as soon as I can. Thanks. Knock him dead, sweetie. Sachiko, we beg of you. Sachiko, we beg of you. You said it twice, right, in your head? Yep. Okay, then it's time to pull this thing apart. Make sure you use your nails and don't let go. Got it. 1, 2, 3. Something impossible was happening. The form of the ritual just now had instructed, and then the floor just split open and swallowed us whole. Was this a dream? Was I hallucinating? It sure felt real, though. It felt like I was being dragged to hell. My vision quickly went bright white, and my consciousness seemed to fade to black. And then I felt dust and sand filling my mouth, and I sprang to my feet, choking. What is this? Where am I? No. I was in a cold, dark room. It was damp and clammy and felt very much like a cave. Was this the heavenly host elementary Naho was telling me about? Naho? Naho! Racked with apprehension, I tried raising my voice, but barely had one to raise. I looked around, but didn't see Naho anywhere, and there was no response. God, this can't be real, can it? I wanted to go home, to forget this place existed, but then I realized I'd never asked Naho how to cross back over. Without her, I was stuck here. This was my top priority then. I absolutely had to find Naho. I'm sure she hadn't accounted for the possibility that we'd wind up in different spots once we got here. But as long as I could track her down soon, I knew everything would work out. I stepped forward slowly and carefully took a closer look at my surroundings. Oh, into the game finally. The wall. What the? It's crumbling. Ah! That was close. I can't get through. Mommy, you saved me. Poor baby girl. What am I? Am I hearing things? That's a child's voice, isn't it? Maybe this really isn't elementary school after all. Birds in a basket. When, oh, when will you come out? Will it be in the evening of dawn? The crane and the turtle have fallen, so who is it that stands behind me? Oh no. She doesn't do ghost stories. The lights flickered and I could swear I saw something up ahead. Hopefully just my eyes playing tricks on me. Please? Is somebody there? Ah! Ah! Double as. Ah. The door is sealed firmly shut. Is this a bathroom? Oh, we're underground, yeah. I'm in like a cave and there's a bathroom here. No matter how I looked at it, nothing about this place seemed like an elementary school in any way. But there were lights on the ceiling and support beams to prevent cave-ins, so it certainly wasn't a natural form cave either. I mean, there was even indoor plumbing down here. No, thank you. I actually did have to go, but there's a limit to how dirty and disgusting a bathroom stall can get before I just refuse to close myself in there. Well, Yuka did it. Guess I just have to hold it. Oh, dead body. Her skeleton remains here. A small child, maybe she was hiding. There's a name tag attached to her jacket, Mina Nishio. Yeah, right. Does she use the bucket? Who uses the fucking bucket? I hear voices of children who seem to be in pain or distress. Why? Save me, help me, please. It hurts, please stop.
もうやめて。どうして？どうして？
Just leave that one be. Yeah, they're having plenty of fun without me. They don't need me. The door's thoroughly sealed. There's no way to get inside. This way first. I hear children calling for me, hiding and groaning. I need to find them. Let's play. Come and get me. I'm over here. I'm over here. No, I'm over here. No, I'm over here. No, I'm over here. Okay, children. I'll be there soon. Are you ready yet? Not yet. Are you ready yet? Not yet. Could hear the voice of children playing. Honestly, those background voices are like the most annoying. No more. You may proceed, you may proceed. What narrow path is this? It's the path of the heavenly host. God, what is this place? Where am I? Heavenly host. Where the fuck do you think you are? Where have you been told you were going 1,000 times? You could hear children laughing. Among the voices, I heard the sound of a door opening somewhere nearby. Okay, stop laughing behind my ear, please. Decomposed corpse here. She's wearing a skirt, so it seems it's safe to assume that it was a female student in life. Her name tag confirms this. Hinako Meguri. It's a foul-smelling, rotting corpse here. Based on the uniform, it was probably a male high school student in life. He seems to have died sitting down, though he doesn't look very relaxed. It's Yoeki Kamimizu. Firmly sealed shut. Recent deceased corpse here. Her hands are outstretched so that she would try definitely to dig her way through the wall. Sexy Hagiwara. Back to the death room. Is that what they call it? The death room? Yes. I didn't think this place could get any darker, but this room proved me wrong. It was completely and utterly devoid of all light. My only indication of its size was the bloop-bloop sound of the dripping water from somewhere inside, and based on the echo, it didn't seem too big. I was perfectly content to leave it at that, honestly, but I couldn't, because I knew Neho might have been there, seized with fear and panic. She usually kept cool head, sure, but I just seen what she looked like when she didn't, and it worried the hell out of me, so I had to know. Naho? No response, not that I heard anyway. That dripping wasn't very loud, but it echoed through enough that it could conceivably obscure the sound of a person's voice. As long as I kept the door to this room open, though, the pale light of the corridor would filter in and I'd be able to see the exit. It may not have illuminated much, but at least I'd be able to find my way out in a pinch, so I swallowed my fear and walked into the darkness. Ugh, gross. What's that smell? It stinks to high heavens. Is something rotting in here? Ew, what's spilled? It's all over my leg. Without thinking, I smacked my hands against my legs, as if trying to knock off whatever was stuck to it. What is this? The metallic smell was so thick that I almost couldn't breathe. Was it blood? Did I just wipe blood onto my hands? No, it couldn't be. Got a sudden itch into my thigh, so I impulsively reached down and scratched it. And in doing so, a small rice-sized bead stuck to the ball of my finger. But in this all-consuming darkness, I had no way to tell what it was. It felt as awful like a grain of rice, though, even smushed and smeared like one when I kneaded it between my thumb and forefinger. What is this thing? Skin? Or my thigh? Crap, I hope not. Huh? The lights. Oh god, what is this place? The source of the horrible smell was suddenly clear, and the room was absolutely drenched from wall to wall, the ceiling to floor, with blood and viscera. How many gallons of blood must there have been to coat this entire room? And the worst part was, none of it was dry. It was all wet. It was all fresh. There was indistinguishable chunks of flesh and bone everywhere. Just what kind of twisted things was this room being used for? What do you think? I remember this room from the game. Huh? I scratched my itching thigh again with my finger, then looked down at my leg, and all at once my blood ran cold. What? A swarm of little white bugs were wriggling around on both my legs. That's what I'd squished between my fingers, but there were many, many more, and they were also on my skirt, on my socks, even inside my shoes. I fell into a state of total panic. I threw off my shoes and began frantically brushing myself off with my arms. I grabbed the hem of my skirt and the collar of my socks and shook the hell out of them, too, trying to knock off as many bugs as I possibly could. Something wrong. I accidentally planted the heel of my sock into a murky puddle of red liquid. My mind went blank with disgust. Gross, gross, gross. I can't take this anymore. Calm down, Sayaka. This was just a slaughterhouse. This was just a place where livestock was chopped up into meat. It was perfectly natural. There was nothing unusual about this room at all. The blood, the chunks of flesh and bone, it probably all just from animals. Yeah, except for those human bits and pieces, I'm sure. Filthy buckets littered the room. Each one was stuffed with reddish black globs of meat and quivering yellow and white liquid. Most of them femur like bones adorned with the surface. One of them seemed to be far more horrid stew than the others. And that's because one of them was full of arms, human arms, several of them jutting out above the bucket lip and barely waving at passersby. Screams of strange beasts because they basically override all sense of logic and reason within a person's mind. Quite naturally, quite automatically, in my body's shock, a scream forced its way out from inside my body, from the very pit of my stomach. My senses had become razor sharp. I could faintly hear footsteps approaching from the hall outside the room. My stomach tightened, stopping the next scream in my throat. I was sure of it. In the corridor just outside the room, something was coming its way, and judged by that, it sure wasn't Naho. Another scream threatened to slip out, and I quickly stifled it. The last thing I needed was to give away my position. Whoever this was getting closer and closer, I had to act. The hallway outside there was just a straight shot, so escaping the room without being seen wasn't an option. Hiding was my only hope. But hiding where? Under the blood-soaked table. If I remember the game, would I really be okay under the table? Not the best choice, but I guess that's really weren't too many other options. Either way, I couldn't afford to hesitate at a time like this. I had to follow my instincts. Fortunately, the table was pretty low to the ground, so I did have some cover there, nonetheless. I prayed for the footsteps to pass by without coming in. But then the person making the footsteps was probably the same person who turned on the light in here, so I didn't honestly hold out much hope. Rapidly, my thoughts grew darker. Worst-case scenarios began fishing through my mind, one after the other. I grasped my quivering mouth and violently shaking shoulders in a vain attempt to calm myself down. I clenched my eyes shut and willed myself to swallow any sounds that threatened to leak out. No, please save me. Oh, yeah. What was happening? It was the sound of a girl in pain. The man had apparently dropped someone onto the table, and she was either injured or being injured. It hurts, it hurts, it hurts, it hurts! I could hear an unearthly scream from the other side of the table above me, and my body became rigid. Just going out, crap, if he bent down to pick that up, he'd see me for sure. He was a very strange, horrifying creature. He seemed not quite human, but not really anything else either, and whatever he was, I was scared to death of him. On second thought, maybe he was human. He just had a grotesque face and abnormally large body, not to mention a zombie-like disposition. He was horrifying. I feared as much for my life as any human can. I was frightened, afraid, terrified. There was no word strong enough. Let me go, let me go! I was flailing my arms and legs and doing everything I possibly could to break free from his grip, but this man was too strong. Was strong as an ox. He wasn't letting me go. This I might have got the bad ending. I was fairly certain he would crush my throat with his bare hands if he wanted to. Somebody, anybody, no! Mommy! The man drew me up by my neck and violently threw me toward the center of the room. It was almost as if he was proving my hypothesis. The tissue and bones in my throat scraped together with a sickening, unnatural sound. I gasped for air. My trachea was in pieces. I could feel my consciousness drifting away. I might have done the bad ending. I wasn't sure why, but he then suddenly let out a blood-curdling moan and made a beeline toward the room's only exit. As he ran out, he turned around and slammed his hand into a heavy iron door, and it began slowly lurching closed. Wait. I was locked in. I knew it right away. I ran toward the door as best I could manage, but I already knew I wouldn't be able to get it open again. Wait, please, help me. The girl I'd heard screaming was trapped onto the surface of the now overturned table, dangling helplessly. Please help. Ah. God, no. Open. Open, goddammit. It hurts, it hurts. Days passed. I couldn't even begin to guess how many. No light ever returned to that blood-drenched pit-black room, and the girl I was trapped with hadn't said a word for a long time. I knew it smelled in here. I knew it was cold and that I was in pain, but I couldn't sense any of it anymore. Was I alive? Was I dead? I wasn't sure it even mattered. I just wanted to leave that room. Somebody please let me out. Bad ending. Hide in the closet this time. Sorry, in the game you were supposed to hide under the table. My bad. Footsteps were approaching fast. I ran up to the large cabinet on the other side of the room. Please open. The doors opened without difficulty, but they were the sort of automatic closed when I left unintended. Oh well, no time to second guessing now. I turned around and jammed myself end first into the closet, grabbing the edges of the closing door with my fingers and pulling them for all my worth. Shrinking my body into the cramped closet, I prayed silently for the footsteps to pass by this room. But then the person making these footsteps is probably the same person who caused the light. Rapidly thoughts grew darker, blah blah, grasped my quivering mouth, blah blah, clicked my eyes. No, please, help me, blah blah. Okay. I peeked through the gap of the door, and my fears were confirmed. I was no longer alone in this room. The thing that was in here with me was horrible. He seemed not quite human, but not really anything else either. But whatever it was, I was scared to death of him. I read this. He had a limp body of a girl tossed over his shoulder. He walked over to the blood-covered table of the center of the room and violently threw her down onto it. Oh no, it's not. Is it Nana? Letting out a moan of agony, she came to. My God, she was still alive. It hurts. It hurts. Her legs had been severed at the thighs. Yep, it's Nana. Like, completely cut off. How could anybody do something like that? No. Man straddled the girl and tied both her arms into metal restraints, attaching to the table. No. What was he planning on doing to her? Cutting out her tongue. He's coming this way. No, 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 please, no. The man passed right by the standing closet, instead turning his attention toward the nearby corner of the room where he began rummaging through a toolbox. He was utterly careless about it, tossing aside any tools he didn't need. Hammers and drills were clanging on the ground, with some sliding under the table. Each time a tool fell, he'd bend down and scoop it up. If I had hidden under that table, I absolutely would have been found just now. Before long, he pulled out a large pair of pliers. Returning to the girl's side, he once again stepped up onto the table and straddled her body. What is he going to do with those exactly? Furiously, the enormous beast clamped down on the squirming girl's cheek and squeezed with all his might. And as far as I was able to determine from my vantage point, he'd forced her mouth open and shoved the pliers inside. Readjusted his grip on the handle, then skillfully began opening the two metal prongs while simultaneously pushing them down her throat. No, stop. Finally grasping the girl's tongue with the pliers, the man suddenly yanked his arms upward in a single powerful movement, tearing it from her mouth. I heard the sound of her mouth frothing over, and after a moment of squirming, all her movements ceased completely. That's when I lost it. Tears were streaming down my face and began peeing myself uncontrollably. Urine was pooling around the bottom of the cabinet. No, stop. I frantically contracted my stomach, forcing myself to stop peeing. If any of it leaked out from here and gave my position away, I'd be a goner for sure. My stomach immediately fought this sudden denial with a painful cramp. Please, please, don't do this now. The man tossed the severed tongue into an aluminum bucket at his feet, then roughly threw the pliers back into the toolbox with an ear-splitting clatter. He grabbed the bucket containing the tongue and slowly disappeared from the room. Somebody had just died out there. I was in shock. What I'd seen had literally scared the piss out of me. I didn't think that ever actually happened. I had to get out of this room. If I stayed here until he came back, and if he found my hiding place, I could easily be the next one to die on that table. Slowly and shakily, I opened the cabinet door and re-emerged. Oh, no. Well, I know my thumbnail. The girl was still as a board. She almost looked alive, albeit gravely wounded, but her mannequin-like lack of any emotion whatsoever said it all. I stared at this fresh corpse and just felt so many conflicted emotions welling up inside me. I exited the room, fighting back more screams from the pit of my stomach that seemed insistent on coming out. Or Nana. No, what is this place? If I'm dreaming, somebody wake me up, please. But no, it wasn't a dream. I accepted this place was real, even though it differed greatly from any reality I'd ever known before. My brain was quickly nearing its breaking point. A stupefied fog clouded in my mind circuits. No, please help me, please. Days passed in this slithering, isolated bunker. I couldn't even say how many. My cell phone battery ran out after a while, and my watch died too. I was lost completely, but I never stopped looking for Naho. I hadn't eaten anything. I hadn't drunk anything. I'd slept so many times. I couldn't even begin to estimate how long I'd been trapped here. The chocolate Mama gave me was still in my pocket, but I couldn't bring myself to eat it. I felt like it represented an important bond between me and her. Our friendship will last forever. It will never die. Naho. Save me, please. Where'd she go? Yummy. A chronicle of past events. Rengoku. 4 is clear. Shangri-La is our next playable one, but we will wait on that one because it's I know. Being I have only 2 hours or so before I have to go to work, and I don't know how long these actually going to be. So we also unlocked Ayano Yamamoto, Mako, Soulful Testimonies unlocked in bonus. Woohoo. Poor Sayaka. She's like the innocent one in all this. And to the friends, used and discarded. Alright. Yeah, I felt a little conflicted too. It didn't make me like Naho anymore though. Because I was kind of hoping, that she'd have done the whole, put out the curse wrong because she's possessed, but it still felt like she did it intentionally because of her obsession with Kabiki, so that's my thought on that one, but who knows. With that though, we're going to end, and I won't be back. I won't be back for a little bit because I have to go away and do some dog sitting till the 31st, so maybe we'll play again on the 1st after I've gotten my booster shot. Woo, boosters. And yeah. So with that, thanks for watching.